Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and today we have some new developments in the case of Jonathan Majors. Recently, things were looking pretty good with Jonathan Majors and his case, where he is being tried for several cases of assault against his ex-girlfriend Grace Jabbari. Jonathan Majors was arrested for allegedly assaulting her, but recently, in a report from Newsweek.com, we found out that Priya Chaudhry, Jonathan Majors' lawyer, and Majors himself provided the NYPD with enough evidence. Along with the NYPD conducting their own investigation, the NYPD found probable cause to arrest Grace Jabbari, the person who is the alleged victim in the Jonathan Majors assault case. But Jonathan Majors has now claimed that she assaulted him, and this was the evidence they provided and the evidence that the NYPD found to find probable cause to arrest her. And Majors' lawyer, Chaudhry, said this, and I quote, "Within hours of viewing the evidence and conducting their own thorough investigation, the NYPD found probable cause to arrest Grace Jabbari for assaulting Jonathan Majors. Considering this development, we extend our gratitude to the NYPD detectives for their efforts." However, we have recently found out this morning from a report from Business Insider that Manhattan prosecutors were reluctant to press charges against Jabbari, and the Chinatown police station issued her with an incident card and not issuing the arrest warrant. And the incident card, which basically means that she is called into the police office for questioning, was then revoked as well. Basically, the NYPD Chinatown precinct changed their mind, according to this report from Business Insider, and they decided to not arrest Grace Jabbari. So they had the intent to arrest her, but then canceled that. Then they gave her the incident card, but canceled that as well. And according to a report from the NYPD to Newsweek, they stated, regarding the incident that occurred on March 25th of 2023, the investigation is ongoing. There are no additional arrests at this time. Basically stating that despite what Priya Chaudhry, Jonathan Majors' lawyer, and their team presented them with, and despite what they said originally when presented with this evidence, they are not going through with the arrest. So things were looking pretty good for Jonathan Majors until the NYPD revoked their decision, and now, last night, Rolling Stone released a huge article about Jonathan Majors and how he has been known over the past decade for extreme abuse. Rolling Stone states that they have done a 3-month investigation talking to many of his past co-workers and schoolmates, speaking with over 40 people who have known Jonathan Majors, and now RollingStone.com has come out with the article basically stating everything that they have learned about Jonathan Majors and what people have said about him, with the article titled "Jonathan Majors' Extreme Abuse Allegedly Goes Back Nearly a Decade." So we'll break down this article, talk about what it means for his case, and talk about what it means for Jonathan Majors' role as Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The subtitle for this article reads, "Majors was abusive with his partners, aggressive on sets, and a source of toxicity at Yale. 24 sources tell Rolling Stone. Majors vehemently denies all accusations." Rolling Stone goes on in the article to say, during this 3-month investigation, Rolling Stone spoke with more than 40 people who have known Majors during his time in graduate school, his Hollywood career, and his romantic relationships. Many describe Majors as being a complicated, unpredictable, and sometimes violent man who can switch from charming to cold in a flash. And they do state here that all of the sources for this article request to remain anonymous, citing fear of career repercussions and personal retribution from Majors. Some claim they were prohibited from speaking, and Rolling Stone quotes here, "My only response can be that I am silenced by an NDA he had me sign," says one person who worked with Majors. So all of their sources and statements that they are getting from these witnesses are going to remain anonymous. And the article is very long and pretty repetitive, but I'll give you the main details that they have found out with speaking with all of these different witnesses. Rolling Stone states, throughout conversations with more than a dozen sources, Rolling Stone has learned of 2 women Majors allegedly abused either physically and or emotionally. Now again, this is allegedly, so this is not proven, and in parentheses, it states, the 2 women declined to comment for this article, with one of the women, through a spokesperson, citing fear of retribution. They continue on to state, one woman who dated Majors was strangled and physically and emotionally abused. 9 sources familiar with their relationship claim. At first, the sources say Majors was romantic with the woman before becoming more manipulative and volatile. The situation became really extreme abuse, physical and mentally, one source claims, and allegedly escalated to the point of him strangling her. Two sources claim she tried to leave multiple times and had an exit plan at one point but remained in the relationship. Majors emotionally abused a second woman he was dating, 9 people familiar with their relationship allege. The woman said her relationship with Majors was emotional torture, according to one source. Though the woman told friends at the time Majors was never physically abusive with her, she said there were moments of near violence where he would get filled with rage, says the source of woman confided in. The woman told the source that Majors would say he needed to hit something or punch a wall or something of that nature. And here's where it actually gets kind of convoluted. Rolling Stone basically cites that they can't confirm anything with these actual 2 women who were allegedly abused physically and emotionally. They even state, as part of Majors' legal team's response to Rolling Stone's request for comment on the abuse allegations, his attorneys sent 6 character witness statements from women who Majors had dated or was close with. Majors' attorney noted in his statement that Rolling Stone was provided statements from Mr. Majors' actual past romantic partners attesting to his character and the falsity of the charges, but Rolling Stone purposefully ignored those facts and red flags and published the false charges anyways. But then Rolling Stone states that, in fact, Rolling Stone reached out to all 6 people. 3 say they never gave Majors' team permission to release such statements. Another woman declined to share the statement credited to her by Majors' team, saying it was pre-written, not truthful, and that she had never approved of its release, which is really odd for a law firm to do. They typically would not do that unless they did actually have consent to send those statements in. So that's a really interesting mix-up here. However, they do state that one woman did consent to making her statement public. It is Haley Carter, a woman who Majors dated from age 13 to 18, described Majors as sweet, kind, and gentle in a message drafted in late March. After 20 years of knowing him, I can tell you who Jonathan is. He did not do these things. He is exactly the opposite of what these allegations say. Jonathan is the most self-controlled, disciplined, well-mannered person I know. We all call him the peacekeeper. He is not violent in any way. Now, the article also says it speaks with people that have worked with Jonathan Majors in his acting career or people that were his co-students at Yale, and they all say that he was really hard to work with and be around. However, here is what Jonathan Majors' team had to say in response to all of these allegations. They state, Jonathan Majors vehemently denies Rolling Stone's false allegations that he physically, verbally, or emotionally abused anyone, let alone any of his past romantic partners. These allegations are based entirely on hearsay because neither of the romantic partners referenced were willing to engage with Rolling Stone for the article, demonstrating their outright falsity. And this is coming from Jonathan Majors' attorney, Dustin A. Poosh, who also stated that Jonathan Majors also denies any allegations of abuse, violence, or intimidation during his time at Yale. The allegations that Mr. Majors got physical with or physically intimidated anyone on any movie set are downright false. Everyone who has worked with Mr. Majors knows that he employs an immersive method acting style, and while that can be misconstrued as rudeness at times, those who know Mr. Majors and work in the industry have attested to his dedication to his craft as well as his kindness. And that is pretty much the basis of the article. Rolling Stone states anonymous sources have said that Jonathan Majors is very intimidating, very pushy, very hard to work with, and that a couple of relationships he was in, he was emotionally abusive and in one physically abusive. But these 2 women would not speak to Rolling Stone. And it doesn't seem like anybody from any of the recent movies that he's worked on is willing to come out and state anything about the case either. So right now, this is all hearsay, and more importantly, this won't actually affect his legal case. Now, it could still affect his standing with Marvel Studios, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. As far as the case is concerned against his alleged abuse against Grace Jabbari, there isn't too much that can be used here in court. Yes, they can present anonymous sources, but what they would really need is the 2 previous girlfriends to go to court and testify. And even then, that is for a completely unrelated case. What he is in trial for right now is the several cases of assault against Grace Jabbari specifically. And based off of the details that we have learned over the past couple of months, Jonathan Majors and his team seemingly have substantial evidence to prove that he is innocent, they claim. And some footage has even been released publicly showing Grace Jabbari after the alleged assault, right after the alleged assault at a nightclub, appearing to be perfectly fine. She claimed that Majors broke her hand, broke a finger on her hand, and lacerated her ear. And in the footage, we can see that her hand is perfectly fine and that her ear is also perfectly fine as well. And Majors' team claims that they have much more evidence, including CCTV footage, which was used to get Grace Jabbari arrested for assault against Majors himself. And they have many eyewitnesses that are willing to testify on Majors' behalf, including the driver who was driving Jabbari and Majors when the supposed assault took place. So I'm obviously not a lawyer, but I'm not sure any of this is really going to affect his case right now. Now, the women could come out and state that these allegations are true and they were abused, and they could press charges against Majors at that time or take him to court, but I don't think this will affect his case that much. However, it could affect his standing with Marvel Studios even if he ends up being innocent. Sometimes the studios take these things into account. However, at this point in time, Marvel Studios has worked with Jonathan Majors during Loki Season 1 and of course during Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, so they can make their own judgments. They have combined over a year working physically in the presence with Jonathan Majors. So if these allegations are true and Marvel Studios agrees that he is actually quite difficult to work with, then even if he is proven innocent in his current court case, they could decide to let him go and recast Kang. However, if he's proven innocent and they like working with him and they don't think that these allegations are true, then they can keep him on as Kang. Again, we try to be pretty unbiased when talking about this case, and if these allegations are true, of course, it is extremely sad. And if they aren't true, it's also extremely sad that somebody is trying to end his career. But basically right now we are waiting till the next court date for this, which is very early August, to see what evidence Majors and his team presents to the court and what the court's decision is going to be. But of course, if we hear anything else on the updates of this case, we'll be sure to let you know. So hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Also, today is the last day to enter our monthly giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. We pick a winner at the end of each month and the winner gets to pick one item. Only one day left. You can also follow us on Patreon, our website, and join our Discord server, and of course, Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.